smart way to support healthy blood sugar management.
Backed by science, Omega XL is a natural anti-inflammatory with over 30 free fatty acids proven to help reduce inflammation at its source. Learn more online or ask your local pharmacist.
Dust from the Saharan desert, over 6,000 kilometers away, travels across the Atlantic to our little island, filling the air we breathe with tiny dust particles that can trigger an inflammatory response when inhaled into the lungs.
Saharan dust travels far and triggers inflammation. Omega XL helps reduce it at the source. Support your body from within.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryanair. Ryanair is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Kane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryanair.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL, nourish your heart, sustain your life.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks. And thank you so much, Master Control. And of course, we had a little glitches, but that has been worked out. Let me say a pleasant good evening to the newly appointed chairman of the NCRA, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh. Good evening, sir. All right, lost him there a bit. 1 second, because Master Control, give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now, 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choices: food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
All right, got everything. Thank you so much, Master Control. Again, let me welcome the newly appointed chairman of the NCRA, the North Central Regional Health Authority, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mikey, and good evening to your viewers and listeners.
First of all, let me congratulate you on your appointment. I couldn't think of a better individual to, of course, function in such a capacity.
Thank you for your kind sentiments. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I know for a fact it hasn't been much of a honeymoon. You got into the action immediately, and there are some issues, of course, that may have raised a few red flags. From day one, what have you started to realize?
Well, when you go into an organization, there are important critical areas that you have to begin to investigate immediately. And some of these areas, of course, you have to look at the financial situation, the human resource situation, the operations management, and of course the day-to-day activities of the organization and the accountability system within the organization in terms of who are the managers within the system and who report to them and so on. So immediately we set about as a board to the task of understanding where we are, look at the organizational structure, the lines of accountability, and of course, critically important, the financial situation of the organization. Well, all regional health authorities now get approximately, I think the Southwest, the North Central and Northwest get approximately the same amount, about 1.4 billion, and the Eastern Regional Health Authority got about 850 million. So immediately you find out what is your allocation from the Ministry of Health. So all the 4 regional health authorities will get about 4.5 billion out of the 7 billion budget. And where do we spend the 1.4 billion? About 900 million of that go towards wages, salaries, COLA, gratuity, and paying of pensions for the workers. So about 700 in salaries for the general human resource area, and then the other 200 million is made out of all the areas with COLA and wages, the other parts of the wages, gratuity, pensions. So we left with about 400 million to deal with the whole management of provision of goods and services in terms of providing the medical care for the patients. And that will include things like laboratory purchases, cleaning and janitorial services, security, and medical and surgical supplies, and then a host of other things that 300 to 400 have to be spent on. So we try to understand what's the situation with your payables, and immediately I found out that 323 million was being owed by the RHA when we took it over from the last board. And out of that 323, about 295 million of that were 3 months and more, the suppliers were owed. And then of course came when we began to delve deeper into the expenditure, I found out that about 52 million was being spent on security, and another 42 to 43 million spent on cleaning and janitorial services. So then I inquired about the security system, and this is security for the Hospital Eric Williams Medical Sciences, the Mount Hope Maternity, Cora, and ARIMA, and the Chagonas Health Facility, and the St. Joseph Health Facility, and so on. But when we found out that there are about 197 unarmed security guards around in the institution, but the 5 security companies have been running with those security guards over the last, probably, I don't know whether 17 years, since 2007.
Oh.
I have not been shown a contract where these 5 security firms have been working there providing security services without a tender and without a contract, and spending $52 million. So that raised serious eyebrows in terms of what is happening there. And then when I look and examine how many people we have within the organization checking on these security cards on a day-to-day basis, time-to-time basis during the day, we only have 4 or 5 people inside checking on these guys. So that was found to be really a major problem, and which we are now trying to solve. The other area, we have about between 60 to 70 janitorial, same day type of staff, same day daily paid workers, staff, about 60 or 70 of them, and who will embark upon some cleaning as well. And we still ending up paying about 42 million to cleaning companies. One company getting about 1.3 million a month, another getting about 600,000 a month. So we began to delve delve deeper into it, and we're now trying to determine where they're cleaning, how much, and we still have to pay for reagents. So owing $323 million, $52 million for security, $42 million for janitorial, and then in addition, the last CEO spent about $4 million on an agricultural project in the area there, growing agricultural produce and utilizing workers from the RHA and paying them overtime on the evenings when they're looking over the garden. And that has been going on since 2023. And we don't know, I didn't know what was happening there. So I stopped it immediately. And that, we're not running a center of excellence for agriculture. We're trying to run a center of excellence for healthcare, to provide effective healthcare in a cost-effective and timely basis for citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. We have a population probably to cover more than about 500 to 600,000, because we're getting overflows from the northwest part of Trinidad. We're getting overflow from the eastern part of Trinidad and some from the central part where we are focused. But we have a very unhealthy population in Trinidad. We see approximately 400 patients in the emergency department at Eric Williams, both in the adult and in the pediatrics. About 120 patients in the pediatric department and about 300 and something to close to 400 in the adult area. And then laboratory investigations, the ordinary lab tests that we do for patients from time to time. There are over 6 million lab tests that the MCRHA do over the period of 1 year. And that includes all the hospitals. But you can imagine 6 million lab tests and the cost for doing that. So I met with the doctors recently, the senior doctors, the managers of the different departments in medicine, surgery, accident and emergency, radiology, and intensive care and so on. And I asked them to bring their young doctors for some degree of training so that these young doctors do not overprescribe requisitions for lab tests when you don't need so many at one time. So that's one area we're seeking to control.
Yeah, but I have to ask you, Doc, and I'm sure people who are listening and watching the program, I mean, you have a wealth of expertise in the field of medical care. I mean, also in the education system. You're a former education minister. You have a wealth of knowledge in politics. I mean, I look forward to reading your book whenever it's published. And the list goes on and on. And at this time, one would think at this time that you would simply say, you know what, I just want to relax, kick my heels up, be with my family. Well, was this something, because when you look at it and all that you're saying, here it is, you have to deal with the fact that some people were inside there playing a mass, as we say in local dialect, because you're talking about monies being spent here, there, and everywhere, but the care service, that care service for us as citizens just wasn't there. I mean, you spoke about the fact that the delays in being, having these patients getting the care that they want, those who are sitting in wheelchairs, sitting on benches, some just laying there on a stretcher, or perhaps sitting on the ground. And it makes you wonder, I mean, why take up such a task at this point in stage in your life?
Well, God has been good to me. I'm in good health, and thank God for it. And God has given me the ability. Well, I think I'm 51 years a doctor now, having trained at 4 universities and worked in about 18 hospitals, worked and trained in about 18 hospitals around the world. So God has given me some degree of ability and knowledge in the health sector and management and so on, beside my academic work being in the dean. But Mickie, may I remind you, you were younger in those days. I was chairman of the Northwest Regional Health Authority in 1997 under Mr. Pandey. And then 2 years after that, he asked me to run the North Central Regional Health Authority. So I was chairman of these two areas for 28 years ago. But now things are indifferent. Things are different. We opened a medical school in 1987. I was part of that. And when this Mount Eric Williams was being built, I was already a doctor at the Women's Hospital in 1981 and saw the construction of this in 81 to 85, 86. When NAR came into government in 86, they said we can open a medical school. I had about 5 senior professors, and I was the junior one around helping them. And they say you can open a medical school, but you have to be self-sufficient. So we decided, Professor Melville and Professor Pico and a few of them, God bless their souls, they have all departed. And they decided that they will bring 49% of the students from Manipal University and pay $12,000 US each. So within 4 years we were in the black. And so the medical school started, and then it was like a white elephant in terms of services. And then we started, the authorities at that time decided that they will do executive medical profiles for companies and so on, and then gain a little bit of money to keep the place going. And it's just around about late 98, 99, the place became very active. And so that's when I began to serve as the chairman there as well. But there are a number of areas that we now critically analyzing, and the board is very eager to move forward, and we're getting the support now of most of the members of staff now are online, and they see for the first time that people are really interested in working with them and seeking out their problems to begin to help them and to assist them in their day-to-day performances to bring more effective and efficient healthcare. So from that perspective, we're getting tremendous support.
But let me ask you, how difficult is it, I'm sure it is, to change a culture that has become so normal? I mean, when you talk about the emergency departments, people waiting on wheelchairs, people waiting sometimes on a bench or on the ground. We hear stories about people being dropped off by the ambulance, but the ambulance cannot continue to go out on any other calls because the gurney or whatever that they brought the patient in has to be used while in the emergency department. And so many horror stories. I mean, first of all, how do you try to change this culture?
Mickie, you have come straight to the point that you in fact echoing the sentiments that we echoed when we were in opposition for many years, and that is one of the main areas that the Minister of Health and his team, which includes all of us, we are working expeditiously to deal with. We are looking at the triaging system at the emergency department and dealing with the ones that need emergency care immediately. And so therefore we have to get the operating theaters going as fast as possible. We have to get more trolleys and wheelchairs so that we can get the ambulances to go back on their journey. And we have increased the amount of staff, house officers and registrars and consultants at the emergency department. We're going to improve the customer service department then. And the medical and surgical supplies, we are now beginning to look into that so that we can provide all the supplies that they need. Now there are problems in terms of the ward. We have 23 wards in Eric Williams. They're divided and they are very filled at most of the times. Yeah. There are some long-staying patients which we'll have to deal with from a social perspective. But cardiology wards, we have 3 cardiology wards, and these wards are always filled because of the high incidence of cardiac disease amongst the population. And then you can't send the cardiac patient home. So we are looking at ways and means of extending the bed population, trying to make sure that we have enough beds so that we can admit these patients very quickly. But on the other hand, we have more doctors and so on now in the emergency department to deal with the patients. So we're looking at buying more trolleys and so on, and then being able to fix the lifts, because these lifts are now 38 years old and they have not been changed. So we have 14 lifts in the complex, and about 6 for between the major wards and emergency department. And 2 Sundays ago, we had some degree of sabotage and all the lifts went down. I went there with the team and we were able to try and get the people to assist us to help repair the lifts and bring it back up to scratch. So far, they're doing well. So we're looking at a number of infrastructural issues. The lifts today marks the end of almost 3 days, 2.5 days since we started the implementation of a new transformer from the main grid of the TN-Tech line.
Right.
We have two transformers. They cost about 6 or 7 million. Massive, huge transformers. And one was not working properly. And the one that we replaced was down. So at any time, the whole complex could have had major catastrophic electrical problems. So we dedicated Friday, Saturday, and today. My last check, I went to see them yesterday. I went with them yesterday. They were working very, very well, and everyone was pleased to see what was happening. And we were on a low voltage load, and now we have increased to the high voltage load. So by tonight, about 9, 10 o'clock, we might be able to tell the country that we are back to normal. They tested out using the CT machines and the MRI machines, which are high voltage equipment, and they're functioning now. So that's one. Then you had the biomedical hazard waste, that whole system went down about 3 weeks ago because of the lack of service. Then the wastewater system is atrocious at the moment, and the freshwater system. So Minister Padarat, I spoke with him, and he's giving me some tremendous help with the electrical and water systems and so on from the public utilities perspective. So you can't, and today that transformer area is the engine room of the hospital, and if that is not working, well, you can't do anything. Patients in ventilators and so on, patients needing MRI, CT scan, if that transformer system had gone down, we were going to be in some deep trouble. So we took the immediate step to get it done, and thankfully, and thank God, we're getting it sorted out. Meanwhile, the stores department, they are not giving the full cooperation. There are a number of things that we need to get from C40, syringes, gloves, needles, all these things. They are not doing a proper job in keeping these things in stores, but sometimes NIPDEC runs the C40, that's where a lot of the things for the supplies for use in the hospital are stored. And sometimes you call down there, they have been told that they said they don't have any, but they wouldn't write a letter to say that they don't have any. So we have to ask the permanent secretaries and so on whether we can go outside and purchase them and so on. And so I've done trying to do an analysis who are the major suppliers of the other things, with the orthopedic equipments, the reagents for the laboratories, and then we're looking at the pharmacy as well.
You have quite a lot to deal with. I like how you just mentioned the fact that you have to deal with communicate with the permanent secretaries, because people always have this perception that you could simply request something, demand something, and if you're not getting the feedback, you can send people home. But it doesn't work like that. There's a lot of bureaucracy. There's a lot of channels. There are a lot of things that need to be done before you can even reach to the point of saying, well, all right, what's the issue here? And that in itself is a task. But I also, looking at the fact that we know for a fact that the economy is not doing its best at this time, and we always believe that prevention is better than the cure. Looking at non-communicable diseases, has that message reached to the citizens' understanding that it becomes a burden on the treasury, whether it be hypertension, diabetes, these non-communicable diseases that end up costing us more in the long run?
Mickie is speaking like a doctor of years of experience, and congratulations, certainly. So we have 15 health centers, and it has always been the wisdom of the Honorable Prime Minister, Mrs. Bissessar, to focus immediately on the chronic non-communicable diseases in the primary healthcare system to reduce the burden on the secondary and tertiary healthcare system. You would remember during our time between 2010 and 2015,
yes,
after during the second year, she implemented strong measures to deal with in the primary healthcare system for managing diabetes. Well, first of all, preventing, detecting early and management of these primary healthcare problems of diabetes, hypertension, lung diseases, asthma, things like cancer as well. And so we are now embarking on wellness programs across our regional health authority. I think the last board did some of that. I must congratulate them on that part. And so we're going to continue on that pathway and continue education. But I want to emphasize that as we speak, we have to advise the population they have to take care of their own health. There are certain things that you can deal with within your diet and your exercise programs to help to prevent the onset of diabetes and hypertension if they reduce and take care of a lot of patients who have developed hypertension. And obesity is a major contributing factor, high sugar intake, and so on, and lack of exercise. So we are spearheading a number of programs to deal with that now, and it will take some time, but we will get it done. And so from the Ministry of Health, they will start some education programs at a national level to tell the population, well, look, we have to take care of ourselves and prevent the catastrophic diseases which cause you to be admitted into the hospitals from complications of these basic problems.
Before we wrap up, people who usually go to the pharmacies and to request their medicine, that is of course in the hospital, and they're not getting it on a monthly basis. Are you going to be looking into that as well?
Oh, certainly, we're looking very critically at the pharmacy situation. There are certain pharmaceutical drugs that the doctors prescribe that are not within the CDAP program.
Yeah.
Within the healthcare system. These are some very expensive drugs as well. But you see, when a doctor sees a patient, he doesn't know very fully well what are in the pharmacy. So he will prescribe certain pharmaceuticals which are not being carried under the health program. So when patients go and they say, well, they're not getting the drugs, these are some of the pharmaceuticals that are not included under the program for the Ministry of Health. So we have to do some education. We're having more pharmacists. We're having a more effective systems at the pharmacy. I'm trying to get the areas centralized, air conditioned, so that patients, doctors, pharmacists, clerks, everybody is suffering at the front area of the EWMSC. So just 3 weeks we have taken over, Mikey.
Yeah, I know. But you know, again, what scares me is this culture that has been accepted for far too long. I mean, you have to make some changes, and sometimes you're going to rattle some cages. But ask me, perhaps just, you know, answer this for me. Why is NIBDEC in charge of the stores department? Why can't the NCRHA deal with that directly?
I think by law it fell under NIBDEC.
Okay.
For a long time at the Ministry of that response from the Ministry of Finance. So I think there are some moves ahead from our Minister, Dr. Bodo and Dr. Sicharan, to speak with the Honorable, well, of course, they have to get the okay from the Honorable Prime Minister to reach the Minister of Finance so that some changes and amendments will have to be made to that system. And NIBDEC is a very inefficient and incompetent, not NIBDEC, but the C40 stores, which falls under NIBDEC. So they are not being monitored properly by the company of NIBDEC.
That's right.
And they have a lot of things that are backed up from time to time without being given to the regional health authorities. That's why Dr. Bodo, in his first or second week, was able to say, as minister, 80 million of pharmaceuticals had expired. So that system there, about 600 million spent on a yearly basis on the purchase of pharmaceuticals by an administration. And so there's a certain amount of basic things that can be given. There are certain others that we will find difficulty in providing to the patients as best as we can, but we'll try our best at all times.
All right. It's early still, and I know you have a lot of work to do. I want to thank you so much. And again, I wish you and your entire team the best of luck, because it makes it better for us as citizens to get the service when we get there and have the best service possible. So again, I know it's not going to be easy, but I believe you're up to the task.
Well, thank you, Mikey, and thanks for the confidence you're trying to display. But we will work as hard as possible, as smart as possible, and efficiently as possible. I have a great board with me. We have two good ministers, and we have an honorable Prime Minister who is dedicated to helping the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So at my stage, Mikey, it's really an honor and a privilege to be able to do something, continue to do something for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And this is an avenue where I have a lot of strength. Being a doctor for 51 years, a cancer specialist for 38 years, and a gynecologist for 45 years, and some training in 18 hospitals around the world. Let me give back something to my country.
I understand. Thank you so much again. It's been a pleasure having you on, and we'll be checking in with you periodically and get an update on how things are shaping up.
All right, Mikey.
Thank you.
Very much.
Appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Well, there you have it, folks. The newly appointed North Central Regional Health Authority Chairman, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh. When you have these interviews and so much information is coming out, I wonder if people understand that. Do they absorb it, or does it go over their head? I mean, you're talking about the fact that a janitorial service, which is pulling in $1.3 million a month, another one at $600,000 a month, over $323 million is owed to suppliers and contractors. You have a $4 million agricultural project with the Ministry of Health. I mean, how did that come about? Is it being used to feed the patients, and who approved this? And the list goes on, and you have security firms, 197 armed security officers, and they're all over, and that in itself is a big bill, which is about 52 million plus. And you hear all of these things, and these are things that have to be worked out. And while this is going on, and the government is trying to fix things that when you look at it, when you listen to it, when you read it, you say to yourself, my God, somebody played a mask. They played a mask with our money, what belongs to us. And then you have people who are in the back just talking about, I ain't get this yet, I ain't get that yet, what's going on, Harry get, Susan get, this, whatever. What that does nothing for this country, absolutely nothing. If you want to feed your ego, feed your ego. That's all good and well. We're not here to dictate that. But at the end of it all, the government has business that needs to be dealt with, and they have to stand on business. Could you imagine another 5 years, what would have happened with this entire health sector? When you talk about millions in agriculture and things that simply doesn't add up, who got these contracts? When were these contracts written up? He's also mentioned the fact that the board has seen where many of these things have been going on without a tendering process. So somebody was just saying, you take that, and that's our money jumping up. But the healthcare is not what we're getting. We are not getting the kind of care for the value that's being put out. Most of this money seems to be recurring expenses and paying the good old boys. That's all it's about. So again, this really humbles you so you can understand the government has a lot on its plate, and we have to at least understand what needs to be done. When we come back, we'll talk some more. We're talking to financial consultant Vid Sioram as we get closer to Budget Day. Right here on The Observer, we'll be right back.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL, nourish your heart, sustain your life.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choice is food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water taps, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
Is high blood sugar the root cause of diabetes? Most people think high blood sugar is the problem. The truth, it's inflammation. Insulin resistance is the root cause of diabetes. Reducing that inflammation is key. Omega XL is a natural option. Not fish oil, but a patented green-lipped muscle extractor with over 30 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. Clinically studied, backed by over 30 years of research. Stay tuned.
Omega XL. Power your health.
Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative. Thank you, Master Control, and we are back. We are back as the Observer. We are back, and we're now talking to financial consultant Vince Siram. His part 2 of this interview. We spoke about, well, not last Sunday, but Sunday before. And let me welcome him. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Siram.
Yes, thank you, Mikey, and good evening to all your viewers and listeners.
Thank you. I'm sure
Thank you for inviting me.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, I'm sure you were listening to the newly appointed NCRHA chairman, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh.
Yes, yes.
You know, when you hear about all of this money that was going in any which way, a 4 million agricultural project, security firms, janitorial services, you know, it just doesn't add up. And again, when you look at what we're getting, or what we were getting, as far as, you know, healthcare, based on customer service, it just didn't add up. People going to the pharmacy at the hospital and returning home say, listen, they don't have my medication, I don't know how I'm going to make it, what's going to happen. And here we have the finance minister who said recently that the population has to temper their expectations when it comes to the upcoming budget. He said promises will be delivered over 5 years rather than 1. Now, that's not fair. When we hear about all this wanton wastage, and knowing now that we have to basically try to be frugal, you know, and try to see how best we can run on less. And yet there are people who will expect more on this less that is going to be dished out. What are we looking at for the upcoming budget, in all reality?
Right, so a new government is in place, a new set of boards are in place. They ought to do an audit of the institution that they're now taking over, and they also have to set policies. They have to look at what questionable transactions took place, whether they were in accordance with policies, and if they were not, then who approved it. And I think they should not miss this opportunity, because what you want to set the stage to set an example for the current crop to back within the wicket and operate within the law, operate within the established policy. So they should not miss this opportunity to investigate these matters, and those who acted outside the policy, they should be personally responsible for all these expenditure, and they must account for it and pay back the money. Because if you act outside of your authority in terms of expenditures and so on, it means to say you have taken a personal decision, hoping not to be caught. And I think the obligation is on the new board and the new management to look at all these transactions and come to some kind of investigative work and come to a conclusion with regards to it, and let the population know. Let the population.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
even to hire a consultant, there are procedures involved. There are procedures. So we have to be careful. I saw the gentleman from Tobago getting a 70,000 per month. Wonderful. I suppose all the citizens wish they were so lucky. What exactly did he do? On what basis was he chosen to do that job? And what was the mandate given to him? So we need to know what did Mr. Jack actually produce. So I think I would say with a high degree of confidence that Dr. Tim Singh is a brilliant person, well accomplished, and I think the health service would be in good hands. Would be in very good hands.
I agree with you. And again, when you hear about all of this and trying to hold folks accountable, at the same time, we have a country to run, and this country needs money.
Yes. So I think we come to the budget now.
Yeah.
I think, and I've been saying for years, Mikey, and you know that, I think you'll confirm, that we, Trinidad, have been in a deep hole for many years and getting deeper and deeper. Now, the opposition may not have gotten all the facts, but now that they are in the hot seat, they are in a position to get all the facts with regards to how bad the Trinidad government finances it. I want to differentiate because people talk as though the government is equal to the rest of the population, equal to businesses. But there are three distinct segments in society. One is the householder, that's ordinary person. One is the government, and the third is businesses. So when we talk about a budget, it is why we say it's a national budget. It's really a government budget to say where they're going to get, how much money they need to execute a strategic plan going forward, and how they're going to raise that finances. Now, over the years, I'm sure you will remember that I'm saying that the government and the Ministry of Finance, who have been there, that is the personnel within the Ministry of Finance, they've been there for years. They've been misleading the country because they are understating expenditures. They are understating cash outflow to the extent of about $9 billion. This government has a chance to explain to the population the extent of the deficit and how they're going to manage facing that deficit going to the budget 25-26.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now let's look at some of these things we've spoken about so many times. At this critical point, where we know that money is not in abundance, food security. We've heard so much about that. I mean, administration come, administration go. We've heard about this food import bill and the fact that these food prices. What are we looking at?
Yeah, we are looking at a basket of problems. Right? And sometimes when you look at a basket of problems, you ask economist one, how do we solve it? They'll prescribe a particular approach. You ask economist two, you have country planner three, all of them will have a different approach to it. However, in any situation, in my view, there's a best approach. And there are two critical challenges that this country is facing. One is a shortage of effect and crime. Shortage of effect and crime, high crime. Now they both converge at one point where you solve the FX problem, crime will also go down because then you will generate economic activity and people will be employed in a sustainable basis. So let's look at the FX problem.
Yeah.
Now the FX problem, it is my view that you cannot diversify diversify an economy with a overvalued currency. However, the government is committed. They say, look, we want to hold this exchange rate as long as possible, no problem. But there are other levers to pull. There are other levers to pull, Mikey.
Right.
And they're very simple levers. You don't have to go to anybody. All government can say, I'm increasing my duty and taxes on luxury items. That's all they have to say. Because government has to, remember, the country employment depends a lot on government expenditure.
Right.
So if government gets in the revenues, they'll be able to share among the population until the economy is truly diversified. So government can easily do that. You don't want to move the exchange rate? There's a problem with it, but if you're already committed, we'll keep it at 6.75, etc. You hold that there. So you increase your duties on expensive items. Who wants to buy expensive items? Let them pay the taxes. That will go into the coffers. And that is precisely what the Donald Trump is doing by raising the tariffs. Right? That's one. Secondly, I was suggesting that the government tell the banks who are holding surplus currency, in other words, hoarding US dollars. Now we have to understand what exactly is hoarding. Hoarding is you're hoarding a US currency or hoarding dal, hoarding rice, anything that the country is is experiencing a shortage of. And a person in the chain, supply chain, starts holding on to that for the sake of holding on and to make money in the event of a devaluation. That is hoarding, and in my view, it is a criminal act. It is against the national policy. Let me explain again, further explain. The role of the central bank and government is to keep stability in the foreign exchange market, stability, right? If I start hoarding, I am going against the national interest. Because the greater the shortage I create, the greater the pressure on the exchange rate. Do we see that connection?
Yes.
We see that connection. So that is against government policy. It is against the central bank policy. Clearly. So they have to correct it and instruct all the banks to reduce their excess foreign exchange holdings to not more than 5% of their US dollar deposit. That's a liability, not more than 5%. Right? So that will bring in roughly about $2 billion US dollars into the system that will give the SMEs some breathing life as we go along.
There you go.
But Mikey, that is a short-term measure. We don't want them to use that money and go and import all kinds of things again.
Okay.
We want them to do something else with it. So what is the something else? The something else is start local production so that we can truly diversify the economy and create sustainable jobs. So we say, where can we really invest this US dollars? And I hope in the budget that they fully understand what is diversification and what industries that the government should be supporting. I'll give you one, just one. And this is under the umbrella of recycling. There are plants today, modern plants today that you can buy that could recycle tires up to the quality of new tires at a low price for providing what I would call recap tires, I would call it new in inverted commas, at a price half the price of what you will import new tires at. What does that do? It puts people back to work in Trinidad. Am I right?
Right.
So these fellows are going to collect tires. It's about 1 billion tires. 1 million, sorry, not a billion. 1 million tires we throw away every year. We throw it away. So we'll pick up all that, clean up the environment, recycle those tires by recapping it, and we're going to save about 50 to 70% of foreign exchange by buying new tires. And we create sustainable jobs in Trinidad. So that's just one item I gave you.
All
but
right.
there's so many things that we can recycle. So hopefully the the government will look at the problem holistically and conserve foreign exchange for investment purposes to diversify the economy
Okay.
and create sustainable jobs going forward. Does that make sense now?
That makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense. So what is it we can recycle? Mickie, you can recycle virtually everything. There's a group, there's a group of young university graduates in Delhi. They decided that people are smoking their cigarette and throwing away their zoot all over the place. Do you know they decided to put collection bins and they're recycling that into usable products? Let me go further. In Angola, this is in south, in western part of Africa, southwest Africa. In Angola, this woman started off a recycling plant to recycle human waste, and that is converted back into water that you can utilize for irrigation and also for fertilizer. There's no smell, there's nothing like that, right? So that particular raw material is recycled to a point where it is usable and it is user friendly and it goes into the production of agriculture. So I'm saying that too many exciting things to be done, and I look at Trinidad, the future of Trinidad, very bright. It's just that we do not have to reinvent anything. Research the world, look around the world, see what.
I want to agree with you, and I'll tell you why I agree with you fully on what you're saying. I think the time has come for us to start thinking outside the box. I mean, you're hearing people saying this, that it cannot be business as usual. Changes have to be made, and some very strong, bold changes have to be made. I would do away with the Ministry of Planning, and I think it's time we have a Ministry of Innovation and Implementation.
Exactly. Now, I just want to go a little further. I think we should establish and give recognition to a Ministry of Recycling. I don't know where it fits in within government, but that should be.
Well, I think that should come under innovation. The thing about it is that we have to show the world, and especially our nationals who live abroad, that we are open for business. And we're open for business based on their skill set that they have been able to acquire throughout the years, living in North America, living in Europe. Many of our people are out there on the global market competing. And I think if we open doors and say, listen, come home, we'll assist you with housing, we'll assist you with ground transportation, we'll assist you if you have young children, getting them into schools, but we're asking you for time, we're asking you to make that investment, to come home, be part of this, and perhaps we should look at 5 or maybe 4 different categories. You spoke about recycling. I'm certain there are other innovative areas that we can look at, renewable energy, you name it, and say, listen, you have 3 years to come up with something that can look as though we're ready to go to market, and you have 2 extra years to get it ready to have it compete on the global market.
That's correct, Mikey. So let's say we set another target to be self-sufficient in food over the next 5 years.
Right.
Now, I saw a list, it was published by whoever did the study. And do you know Guyana is changing now? Guyana is changing now. Guyana is going to become like Trinidad, and we are going to become like Guyana 10 years ago. But Guyana supplies 94% of its own food. 94%. Israel supplies over 90% of its own food, and they live mostly in a desert. Saudi Arabia, they are mining water, subterranean, and they are now able to export food. So you tell me in Trinidad, there's so much rainfall, probably 80 inches, 70 inches, 60 inches a year. There's so much wonderful, I would call it very good soil. You tell me, we're still importing. Yeah, what we're importing? We're importing corn from Thailand. You believe that? We are importing dried sorrel from Egypt. You believe that?
Yeah.
We are importing within 3 months, 90 days, to come up with a program, first of all, in terms of a menu, so that we Trinidadians will say, wait a minute, we can start buying local products to prepare menus at home and at school, the school feeding program, and using all local products. So, these things, we have to be very targeted and very optimistic that it can be done. Suppose we invite a competition among the local population, among the ladies at home, to come up with a menu for the week, or even for the day, purely local dishes. Now, that competition, we will evaluate that competition based on its nutrition content, its taste, etc., presentation, etc., etc. Don't you see that we will get the population excited? That is the mothers at home. Mothers at home are the ones who create all the energies in society at the end of the day,
True.
And if we can get them participating, you will be surprised to know how much valuable solutions are being created for the welfare of Trinidad and Tobago, of course, because Tobago, they are a little behind us in terms of adhesion to local dishes. So they'll be a fantastic contributor to such an exercise. Do you know as well, we speak about health. We are trying more and more hospitals. Should we be looking at preventative medicine? In many countries, all these fast foods are not allowed, You won't see a Kentucky Fried, you won't see a Pizza Hut, you won't see all these fast food chains. They just don't have it. And we can say, okay, let us look at it too and probably limit the exposure to these things. So, Mikey, I am looking at a very important budget that must address key issues and give us direction. Give the country direction as to where we are heading over the next 5 years. And I'm being very optimistic. I hope that the government meets that challenge.
I hope so as well. Again, it's always a pleasure to have you on. When the budget, of course, has been presented, I hope to have you back on and we look at it and see exactly what's happening as far as the economy and the direction that this administration is clearing for us. So that's very important. And again, some very, very low-hanging fruits. I mean, when you think about it, it's just a matter of saying, listen, let's do what has only been spoken about in the past. Let's actually start implementing many of these programs. And I think we will see a change in that. Thank you so much again. Any closing comments?
No, thank you, Mikey. I think there's a great anxiety in the air with regards to this budget. And let's wait a few weeks again, and then we take it from there.
All right. Thank you so much again, Mrs. Kerr. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
There you have it, folks. Financial consultant Ved Siraram, and he's right. I mean, a lot of these things, and as I mentioned, these are things that we can invite nationals who have been out there, who have studied, who are actually running their business. Let them know that you can come home. Your home is open for business. Bring your ideas, bring your expertise, bring your skills, and let's see how we can just pinpoint some of these areas and say, listen, you have a time period. If you need assistance for housing, because listen, we have people that come to this country to do business, and at the end of it all, how much do we really benefit? And it's time that we start dealing directly with our nationals who understand and who really and truly want to give back to their country of birth. So take advantage of that, lay out some of the factors, lay out what we want, what we expect in return, and let the world know we're ready to do business. Take a short break. When we come back, attorney at law, Kyle Takak Singh, right here on The Observer. We'll be right back.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL. Nourish your heart. Sustain your life.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choice is food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water taps, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
Is high blood sugar the root cause of diabetes? Most people think high blood sugar is the problem. The truth, it's inflammation. Insulin resistance is the root cause of diabetes. Reducing that inflammation is key. Omega XL is a natural option. Not fish oil, but a patented green-lipped muscle extractor with over 30 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. Clinically studied, backed by over 30 years of research. Stay tuned.
Omega XL. Power your health.
Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products, tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after-sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438 to find a dealer near you.
If you live with diabetes, your pancreas works overtime every single day. Between our rich foods and busy lives, chronic inflammation can sneak in, stressing the pancreas and raising the risk of complications. Over time, inflammation can damage these cells, making blood sugar harder to control.
Protecting your pancreas from inflammation is a smart way to support healthy blood sugar management.
Backed by science, Omega XL is a natural anti-inflammatory with over 30 free fatty acids, proven to help reduce inflammation at its source. Learn more online or ask your local pharmacist.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Kane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air.
Dust from the Saharan desert, over 6,000 kilometers away, travels across the Atlantic to our little island, filling the air we breathe with tiny dust particles that can trigger an inflammatory response when inhaled into the lungs.
Saharan dust travels far and triggers inflammation. Omega XL helps reduce it at the source. Support your body from within.
We are back. Thank you, Master Control. We are back. Yes, indeed. A lot is happening. Getting a lot of feedback. All the good folks online that are locked on. Good evening to you. And I know that we do have the holiday coming up next week. So, in advance, Happy Republic Day to you all. Joining us is a man who is no stranger to the Observer. Let me say a pleasant good evening to Attorney at Law, Kyle Tacklerson.
Good evening, Mikey, and good evening to you and the listeners and viewers.
Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on this Sunday. I know usually you are at the CPL finals, but you didn't go this year. But, I understand.
I'm more of a test cricket fan, but yes, I occasionally watch the good.
All right. Yeah, I want to ask you, government proposes the crypto ban until December 2027. A lot of people are saying that that is going to put us somewhere, behind the eight ball, set us back. This legislation, it was tabled in the House of Representatives by the Finance Minister, Dave Tanku, and it was on the order paper, but was not debated, which was last Friday's sitting. What does this mean? And I'm asking you this in a legal realm of so many people have been talking about the fact that they've joined these groups where they're trading and this one is trading and all of a sudden we're hearing a lot of stories that things aren't going well and if you don't understand the trading, don't get involved with the trading and all of this. I mean, basically, what are we looking at here?
Well, currently the strict guidelines and regulations as to how, let's put it simply, very strict guidelines as to what constitutes currency and how you're supposed to have exchangeable bills and transactions to be done. That is strictly regulated by the central bank, strictly regulated by several pieces of legislation, and for good reason, right? You must have your currency and those types of matters properly regulated and supervised. What we have is proposed legislation that is on the order paper that clearly the new government is looking at, and it would want to ensure that the right provisions are contained in the bill and it caters for the modern challenges of cryptocurrency, etc. And I think the position stated by the government is a prudent one. Let's make sure we get this right. Let's ensure that all circumstances are catered for when we speak about currency, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, all of these other issues which require proper regulation. I mean, the way the nature of technology is that it changes almost at a daily pace, and therefore, in order to capture the concerns and the risks that persons may have when they enter these types of transactions and investments and using these types of trading material, you want to ensure that you capture it properly. So there is legislation on the table. I'm sure the government wants to look at it carefully. And before we move forward, we have proper consultation, much like the Standing Ground Bill, much like the general approach of this government. And let's come with a product to ensure that everybody, all of citizens' rights and interests are protected, and that the government is supervising it in a way that doesn't intrude on private matters, on private capital, but is also ensuring that no one is taken advantage of.
Yeah, there are folks who would say, listen, a lot of this trading is done abroad, so it shouldn't be of any concern to the authorities here in Trinidad and Tobago. From a legal perspective, is it, and what governs the fact that for the FIU, or should I say the Stock Exchange Commission, to get involved? There has to be something that would get them to say, listen, we have the authority to govern this, whether you're trading abroad or whatever.
Well, again, the central bank governor, the Minister of Finance, the Stock Exchange, Security and Exchange Commission, they have very, very wide and vast powers to regulate the way things are traded on the stock exchange, currencies exchange, and anything dealing with monetary policy. That is very, very technical legislation, highly technical legislation. In fact, you usually need to get experts in the field when drafting it. And therefore, with that type of broad power, you want to ensure, again, that you capture all of the scenarios that this type of technology, let's call it as broad as that, can encompass, and you want to ensure that you cater for everything, all of the risks, because ultimately when people use this, you go and you use it, you start trading in this, you think it's allowed by the government, you think it's regulated, only to find out that somebody has scammed you out of it, or somebody has used a medium in the technology that isn't authorized, and then what happens? You then look for justice and redress, and then the first port of call people tend to blame is the government. Why did the government allow this? So, I think a reasonable and prudent government is going to have to look at this challenge, look at it carefully, and ensure that the legislation is in place to regulate it. I mean, it's much like, to draw an analogy, it's much like AI technology now. We saw recently that the minister, I believe, wanted to get involved in the AI issue. AI requires regulation. In Europe, you actually have an act in the EU that has been passed to regulate AI to ensure that, when people do those AI videos where they impersonate people and say defamation things, those things can be criminal offenses now in Europe. Misuse of AI. So it's the same thing with this type of technology, whether it be cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, all of these other new methods to replace what is traditional currency and what traditionally constitutes what we call medium exchange in the financial law area. All of these new products that are replacing it and people are trading and bartering on. You want to ensure that it's regulated, it's allowed, it's permissible, because it's really the underpinning to your equity markets.
Yeah.
If these currencies fall through, your equity markets fall, your business development falls, and they are run on financial institutions, and they can lead you into economic ruin. You don't want that. So proper regulation is required for these things. I'm not intimately familiar with the proposed bill, but I will be looking at it, I promise you, and we could probably have a fuller discussion on it. But as I said, the position seems to be, at this point, a reasonable one. Let's hold, let's look at it, and let's come back when we're sure that this is what we want.
I agree with you. Again, when you mentioned the fact that let's have some consultation on it, just like the stand your ground bill, that's very important, because there will of course be different sides to many of these stories, those for and those against. But the fact of the matter is, once it comes into the public domain, that people can actually weigh in on it and express their concerns. There are those folks who say, listen, we're going to be behind the 8 ball, we're going to go back to a Jurassic sort of economy if we don't get involved in this thing now. Now is the time. And I think there are those who may be just, selling that fear because it might be in their best interest. And you're right, mash breaks, come down to the consultation level, and let's hear what the average citizen would want. Perhaps they themselves might embrace it, but on certain terms and conditions.
Yeah, I mean, any government and administration, you want to strike the right balance between allowing a free market and people and commerce, and you don't want to over-restrict the way people do business, but at the same time, regulation is needed. So you have to balance regulating with allowing free commerce, and it's always a difficult balance to strike. In terms of this cryptocurrency, we've seen it develop around the world. We've seen some crashes as a result of it. There have been schemes as a result of it, but people have made millions of dollars, and commerce and business has increased because of it. And the primary incentive is the getting away from the regular banking system, which we know has its own evils that we have to deal with. So it's there, it's attractive, but I get concerned when people want a completely unregulated sector.
Yeah.
I feel like the people who benefit from that are people who have gotten a head start in it, know the tricks, the traps, and the falls, the pitfalls, but prefer if other people fall into those traps.
Yeah.
While they maneuver forward. And I feel that you have to strike some type of fairness in the market. So regulation is good, and let's get the regulation right. And another issue with it, obviously, is when you come to these types of technological moving of money or services of value, is of course terrorist financing. You always have money laundering concerns. You have criminal enterprises, because the major criminal enterprises want to move money quick and untraceable.
Yes.
So how do you treat with that? And those things have to be regulated when you come to cryptocurrency, when you come to any type of this blockchain technology issue.
Yeah.
So let's pause. Let's look at it carefully. It requires some expert views, not just from lawyers, but from people who actually trade in the commodity. you would probably also, I mean, you're also not going to be inventing the wheel because there is legislation around the world which has regulated this. So I think we just have to choose and look for the one.
And you're right.
The minister is absolutely right in my view. I support him. Let's take stock of it. Let's look at it carefully. I know he's probably, knee deep in or head deep in preparing for the budget that is coming on. So and he has a tough job ahead of him. And he said that, I think. So let's support him and give him the way he needs to get it right.
And I agree with you 100%. Just going back to, the way how many things are lost in transition, especially when it comes to dealing with that from a legal perspective. Here we have an attorney at law, Larry Lala, a man who is well known in the fraternity. And he's one of his postings is that what's the point in telling citizens that you are bringing a law, when he's talking about the stand their ground law, bringing a law to allow them to stand their ground against home invaders, but not telling them your bill is flawed. Because when they stand their ground and kill a home invader, they run the risk of being arrested, charged and having to sit in jail for years, awaiting a trial before they can prove that they did not use disproportionate force in killing the home invader. Now that's pretty strong.
As I said, I respectfully disagree with Mr. Lala, senior counsel, on that point. You can't assume that when the government passes a law which forms policy, that the police are automatically going to disobey the major tenets of the legislation, or that the charging authorities, the DPP, is not going to understand the legislation. The legislation sets up a regime which says that you can stand your ground, that you have no duty to retreat, that there are factors you take into account when you exercise your discretion to do it, and there are factors that the police and the DPP will take into account if they come upon a scenario where a homeowner has defended themselves. That, in my view, is sufficient to guide the police and to guide the DPP not to put the homeowner through the adverse consequences of charging and arresting and that kind of thing. Now, to say that that is 100% guarantee, no legislation could do that. There are some people who misinterpret. It may be that the police may feel, well, okay, you stood your ground, I see it, but I need to do a little further investigation because things looking a little fishy here. Did they mad? Was it really a break-in? I'm not seeing any signs of break-in entry, right? So you can't stop the police from doing an investigation at the same time. Now, as it has been pointed out by others and Mr. Lala, there is some legislation around the world which allows for an immediate judicial review of the decision to charge someone who is invoking your stand your ground right or your castle doctrine right. In other words, if the police say, well, okay, I think even though you say you were standing your ground in your house, if the police say that, you tell the police that, but the police say I'm going to ignore that and still charge, you can immediately go before a judge and ask the judge to intervene to quash the charges within, a very short period of time. That provision is included in some legislations. It's not currently in the bill, but that is why the bill is out for consultation. So what I think what people have to do, like Mr. Lala, is respectfully suggest, well, I've looked at the bill, looks like good law, but here you can improve it by putting A, B, and C.
Right.
Don't start with the premise that why would you put a bill and yet you're not telling people that the bill is flawed, etc. I don't think that's the right way. I think we contribute to the legislation to make it the best legislation possible for our country.
And you're right, it doesn't take away the fact that every investigation will have some fundamental process that they do. I don't think the police is, or whoever is just going to come and say, you know what, all right, we take your word and we go for it. No, it doesn't work like that. And you're so correct. And if there was any confusion, one would think that if you're legally inclined and you understand that the onus is on you to explain to the citizenry exactly what it is that they're confused about and give some clarity to it.
Give some clarity and make your suggestions as to how to improve it. I think that's the way the citizens have to approach it. Don't attack it for attacking sake.
And rather than looking for kinks in the armor and trying to get political mileage, that doesn't help at all. And I think that, really and truly, one has to start saying that, are we expecting too much from certain people who should know better?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I await the position of the P&M, when this bill comes to the Parliament, I can't see them in good conscience. Well, let's say I could see them in bad conscience opposing this bill. Let me put it like that, right? But I hope in good conscience that they decide to support this, to give rights to homeowners, to put the fear in the hearts of criminals and not law-abiding citizens, and support the bill and make some good suggestions to improve it.
I really and truly hope so. Really and truly. I mean, it's time that, I mean, rather than to use it as a political football, we need to put that power in the hands of the citizenry and have something. Yeah, we have to have something. Can't just be sitting ducks. Any closing comments?
No, I just want to say, I think I said it earlier. I wish the Minister of Finance well. I know he's probably working late hours to get the budget right. This is the first budget for the UNC, for the United National Congress government, and I really, really support them, and I look forward to the budget reading. I think that would set the country the path that it needs to get on.
I agree with you as well. That would definitely set the economic tone moving forward. Thank you so much again for taking time out. Do enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll be checking in, of course, with you periodically.
Same to you.
Thank you so much. Up next, we have the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Sport, Senator the Honorable David Nackett. And again, there's a lot taking place, and there's so much that we need to focus on in order to get this thing right. This is not the time for personal egos and personal interests and about yourself. It is about asking the key question that all of us have a responsibility to ask, and that is, am I the citizen I need to be for the country that I want? You want change. You want things to be different. You ask for change. We go to the polls. The transition of power takes place without any military intervention, and you have to be thankful for that. You live in a country where you can stain your finger and not stain your body with blood when it comes time to change a government. But then where's your responsibility? Not to take the airwaves and talk about me, I, and I see this one and I see that one. That's not it. You have to ask yourself that very key question. Am I the citizen I need to be for the country that I want? We want good health care. We're entitled to that. We want good education. Hey, we're entitled to that. We want to be able to walk the streets and not to be victims of crime. Then what is our role in all of this? We cannot just simply be observers to injustice, observers to wrong, observers to the fact that things are not being done the way they should be, and think that we can take ourselves out of the equation. It doesn't work like that. When we come back more, right here, before we close things off, I will be taking your calls, and again, when we come back.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL, nourish your heart, sustain your life.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choice is food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water taps, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
Is high blood sugar the root cause of diabetes? Most people think high blood sugar is the problem. The truth, it's inflammation. Insulin resistance is the root cause of diabetes. Reducing that inflammation is key. Omega XL is a natural option. Not fish oil, but a patented green-lipped muscle extractor with over 30 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. Clinically studied, backed by over 30 years of research. Stay tuned.
Omega XL. Power your health.
Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products, tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438 to find a dealer near you.
If you live with diabetes, your pancreas works overtime every single day. Between our rich foods and busy lives, chronic inflammation can sneak in, stressing the pancreas and raising the risk of complications. Over time, inflammation can damage these cells, making blood sugar harder to control.
Protecting your pancreas from inflammation is a smart way to support healthy blood sugar management.
Backed by science, Omega XL is a natural anti-inflammatory with over 30 free fatty acids, proven to help reduce inflammation at its source. Learn more online or ask your local pharmacist.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Cane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air.
Dust from the Saharan Desert, over 6,000 kilometers away, travels across the Atlantic to our little island, filling the air we breathe with tiny dust particles that can trigger an inflammatory response when inhaled into the lungs.
Saharan dust travels far and triggers inflammation. Omega XL helps reduce it at the source. Support your body from within.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL, nourish your heart, sustain your life.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Kerr Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now, 267-0000 or 431-0012. Kerr Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choice is food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water taps, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
Is high blood sugar the root cause of diabetes? Most people think high blood sugar is the problem. The truth, it's inflammation. Insulin resistance is the root cause of diabetes. Reducing that inflammation is key. Omega XL is a natural option. Not fish oil, but a patented green-lipped muscle extract with over 30 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. Clinically studied, backed by over 30 years of research. Stay tuned.
Omega XL. Power your health.
Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products, tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after-sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438 to find a dealer near you.
If you live with diabetes, your pancreas works overtime every single day. Between our rich foods and busy lives, chronic inflammation can sneak in, stressing the pancreas and raising the risk of complications. Over time, inflammation can damage these cells, making blood sugar harder to control.
Protecting your pancreas from inflammation is a smart way to support healthy blood sugar management.
Backed by science, Omega XL is a natural anti-inflammatory with over 30 free fatty acids, proven to help reduce inflammation at its source. Learn more online or ask your local pharmacist.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Cane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air.
Well, thank you, Master Control. Thank you so much. All right, we have been trying to get the parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Sport, the Honorable Senator David Naked. He did send a message. He is trying to finish up on something. In the meantime, however, tomorrow there's a press conference that's going to be headed by Alan Ferguson, the president of the Scrap Iron Dealers Association. That word, scrap iron, anyhow. Good evening, President.
Good evening to you and your viewers and your listeners, Mickie. How are you?
Good. Always good to hear from you, a hard-working man like you, a man who really and truly loves Trinidad and Tobago. I know when you're having your press conferences, you stand up there and you pontificate the points, and people are asking what to expect tomorrow.
Well, Mickie, the thing about the association, we just want the public to know where we at and where we intend to go and how we intend to work with this new different people on our stage saying certain things, because I think everybody fed up on the fighting and the thing that we pushing for so much a year. It's going into 3 years now since this industry has shut down, and the other administration that's bringing some laws for us to govern this industry. We told them it could not work, it wouldn't work, but we had to show people we were able to give it a try. It couldn't work, it cannot work, because we would have known that an industry like this, where you find that the Port of Spain and Point Lisa, we used to sell out the most containers out of these ports. It would have never been able to continue in that way again, because if you put so much a traffic light for me to reach into Port of Spain, from Chaguanas to reach to Port of Spain, there's so much of traffic light. Every time I drive off, I have to stop. I can't move, because every time I drive for 3 minutes, I have to stop at a traffic light in red. And it continued like that from since they was in power. This new administration, this new minister, agreed that things need to change. New things need to come in to be able for this industry to move forward.
All right. And let me ask you this, Mr. Ferguson. I want to be as clear as could be, because I understand the industry has taken a lot of hits. The industry has, that so many people depend on, has not been running at its full capacity. It hasn't been productive for quite a while. So that's the honest truth. But what do you say to people who are saying, listen, man, it hasn't even been 6 months. We listened to Mickie earlier with the new chairman of the NCRHA, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh. And Gopi Singh spoke about the wanton wastage, the fact that you had security firms making $1.3 million a month, some making $600,000 a month. You had workers that they were using to do the cleaning, but yet still they have companies coming from the outside to do janitorial work, which was going up to like about $40 million. And all of these things, $4 million agricultural project for the NCRHA, which is supposed to be dealing with health. When you hear all of these things, and people are saying, listen, man, the last thing this government needs is somebody to come and talk and say these things when they're trying to put things together. What do you say when these things are said?
No, well, Mickie, I understand, and I have absolutely no problem with the new chairman trying to put things together. But Mickie, this industry, if the Prime Minister said today, she putting out the list for the people and them who will get the most amount of US, you will see no scrap iron dealer name and that, You will see that. You know why? Because we bringing in foreign exchange to help all the countries. We not taking it away and sending away nothing. We bringing in to all name in the other list. And we as an industry not asking for money. We not asking for money in reference to get our industry going. We just asking for some policies and change to make that date and the last administration tie up our neck and chain it up to a post, and we can't move at all. So we're not asking for much. We just asking for our industry to move at a pace that it's accustomed moving with. We have no problem for regulation, but regulation must not be able to slow down the pace and cause you to lose a lot of money. It mustn't be that type of regulation. It must be things to be able for us to continue doing our trade and doing our business. Not for when I work for a week, I have to wait for 2 months again to sell again. I don't think no businessman, nobody in this industry would say that if I is a private sector, I cannot do business on a Saturday. You have to understand it, that it has so much regulation, so much of problem for us. So we're only asking for, we're going to ask them tomorrow, is to work with us to get this thing rolling. We're not going to demanding nothing is that we deserve. We asking things that the Prime Minister wants companies and things to do, help Trinidad and Tobago put out things that we could employ thousands of people, do things that we could bring in income. the lowest that is get paid out of this industry. You know, if I tell you, I don't know if because the name scrap iron or the name gives is that it is falling off, you know. But when you watch places like India and all these countries out of Trinidad and Tobago, big countries, this industry doing good, and it's helping out thousands of people. And I don't know why in Trinidad and Tobago, Mikey, let me tell you something if you don't know that. Out of 150 something yards was operating in this country. Mm-hmm. You know how much yards operating now?
How many?
Mikey, less than 25. Less than 25. And tomorrow, if you listen, people listening in this conference, I will break down all the figures and break down what it is taking place. And I have something to announce tomorrow that Trinidad will shut. But I don't want to say much more here now. But what I can tell you, listen to what we have to say tomorrow in reference to this industry. We don't want the government to listen to people who seems to benefiting out of how this industry shut down and benefiting. We don't want the government to listen to the naysayers and the mouth sayers and the bad mouth ones and the evil one mouth to do nothing to help the country. Do nothing to help the country more than benefit their own self. That is what we don't want. So we need to come out and talk. You understand, Mikey?
Yeah. Very strong. No, so what we're talking about here is really chalk and cheese, because you have an administration who currently is at least receptive. They're willing to dialogue. But again, they may be missing some things that need to be highlighted, compared to the past administration that simply said, you know what, shut it down, close up. We don't care who can't send the children to school, we don't care who have to eat, we don't care who's depending on this industry, just shut it down. Am I correct when I make that assessment?
Yes, and Mikey, I am not, you know, I am playing out of the politics, but what I could tell you, when in 2012, when we had some problem in this industry, they had bring us and we had to sit down with them. And you know, from zero, we going up to 10 based on all the discussion, because they was listening to what we say, right? And when they listen to what we say, we was moving on in such a way, and we was able to build between 2012 to 2022. This industry moved from people pulling things in hand, container in hand, to people pulling container in machinery and moving material instead of the hand with equipment. We moved from all of that. When I came in, we had zero all of these things. And we take this industry from zero and bring it to something. So we understand what we need to take this industry to take it, to bring it to high world standard, a way that we could be able to do things for the Caribbean. And people misunderstand Trinidad and Tobago in this industry. We discover the whole Caribbean is set up. We, the people in the Caribbean, just come here and bring the material, and when they leave in the making, buying things that came back to them. Why we don't want to benefit out of our industry and do so much for Trinidad and Tobago? Why we holding it up? Why we holding it up? Tomorrow we will know why. Why?
Tell us what.
The government's not aware of some things, you know. We need to tell them. And I mean, friends and people in my industry, we will be there tomorrow to tell them we cannot run an industry the way we're running. They need to fix that, and we don't have time, you know. Because I will tell Trinidad and Tobago based on time. We don't have time again. Because we're not asking for money, we are asking to help. And if somebody asking to help, you bring them in because they're honest and they want to help. That's all we're asking for.
Let me ask you exactly, tell us what time tomorrow and where exactly?
No, well, the location, the people could look out to view in our Facebook page. The links will be out. The links you go to our Facebook page, you will see it. It's not the news conference is not invited to the public because the way we keep it is a news conference. It's not thing to the public, but people could view it online. There are certain people that we invite and we look forward for people listening and understanding the direction we go in. You know, Mikey,
And what time?
We start at 10 o'clock, and this one we start at 10 o'clock. We started so you can view go to our Facebook page and view it at 10 o'clock. It will be also, and if you check our our media page, you could go and look and you could get to see it viewed live.
All right. All right, Mr. Ferguson. Best of luck. And I'm glad that you're finally saying what needs to be said. Again, the past administration, let's call it for what it is, the PNM, shut it down. They shut it down. They didn't care about the consequences. That industry was hit, and it was hit hard. Now you have an administration that is saying, okay, they're communicating, there's correspondence, but there are some issues that need to be highlighted. And that's fair. That's fair. Especially when you're not asking for anything, because at this point in time, after all that wastage, after all that unbridled corruption, my gosh, the last thing we could tell you is that, my brother, if it's money, things are a bit tight. But if you're bringing something, you're offering something, you're helping as far as where unemployment is concerned, getting people off the breadline, producing foreign exchange, being productive to the country, I say all ears, man. All ears. Give you and your industry all ears. Let's hear it. So I wish you all the best tomorrow at 10 a.m. Keep up the fight.
No problem, Mickie. Thank you. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you. Folks, the lines are open, 225-9790, 225-9790, or you can send it via WhatsApp, 494-0938, 494-0938. I think we should prioritize, man. Who ain't asking for money but has something to offer? Come and stand up in this line, because we need you. We need you. For the last 9.5 years, they drain, they take, they thief, they rob. And if you have something to offer, and you're willing to say to yourself, listen, I am going to be the citizen I need to be for the country that I want, then you know what production is about. Come on board. If you're waiting cap in hand, you gotta wait a little longer. It ain't easy because it's our business that had to fix up. You have to. 225-9790, or you can send your WhatsApp calls, 494-0938. Get in on this evening. Yeah, that's how it has to be, man. Rennie, what's happening, my friend? Love to Strong. Hey, folks, don't forget Strong Heart is an all-natural omega-7 supplement that has been shown in clinical studies to be associated with heart health by supporting healthy cholesterol and inflammation levels. Research has shown that increased blood levels of omega-7s is associated with healthy HDL, which is good cholesterol, and LDL, bad cholesterol, and C-reactive protein. So you have to go. Strong Heart is formulated with a proprietary purified omega-7 named palmitoleic acid. And studies indicate that it supports overall heart health. So keep your love muscles strong with Heart XL. Pick up your bottle today. Lines are open. Let me see what's happening here. Yes. Pleasant. Good evening.
Good afternoon, Mikey. Good afternoon to you and to everybody out here. Mikey, how come Penelope Beckles don't know about what happened to these people? How come she not very vociferous here and Amy Brown and all of them about what it is to the Scrap Iron Dealers Association? But I wish Mr. Ferguson could be at home. He could be a little more vociferous. This Robs and stop trying to keep everything secretive. Because that's how we're coming across, to Mikey.
Yes.
You remember all the interviews you all had with him?
Yes,
right?
You're right.
You remember that?
You're right.
Yeah, and stop being like he didn't want to rock the PNM boat. Let us see what he's going to do now. Right? Because as you rightly said, it's the PNM that shut it down.
That's right.
Not anybody else. But I want to know how come like that in Bonnie Penny. But Mikey, they have so much love in their heart and they love poor people. But they had a big gala the Saturday night. Was that Saturday? I think it was, yeah.
Yes.
Or Friday night. Some one of them.
September affair. Some September affair.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Mind the CPAP workers and the URP, all of them who only feeling sorry for. Why only didn't help, why only didn't take that money and help them? But it's the pretense, Mikey, the pretense that going on in this country. And I like what Kyle Takal Singh said, right? And I'm glad that he made reference to what Larry Lala posted. Because Mikey, let me tell you something, we know they're not going to pass that bill. Along with the PNM independent senators, right? We know, just like what they did with the children's bill, just like what they did with the granny bill, because they're hearing how Larry Lala sowing seeds of doubt now, and we know that that is not going to happen. And I bet you they put him in the Senate as a temporary senator to help them with that bill. But Mikey, one thing I didn't get to call in last week because apparently I did not call in, I was waiting patiently. That's something that Ken Ali talked about, right? And I really wanted to, I thought somebody would have touched on it, was that the wastewater plant in Borneo from 3 million to 35 million, Mikey. I thought I heard wrong.
No, that's right. That's right. You're right. Yeah, that's what it, from 3 million to 35, yeah.
Yeah, and you're not here, but they say I couldn't raise it during the week because I wasn't sure what it is I heard, right? But that's ridiculous, and we're penny in them out now. But you want to know how much money was spent on to fix up the residential area, residential official residence, right? But I like what Mrs. Basabi says. I told her that is not important. The money will be taken to finish the schools and them to house the children. Mikey, thanks a lot and have a good time.
Have a good one. Thank you so much. The lines are open. We're going to squeeze in some more. 225-9790. Or you can send in your WhatsApp calls. 494-0938. Yeah, well, you're right about that, my friend. You are indeed right. Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Mikey. In terms of the Prime Minister said that our budget will be youth-based, and I'm saying if there's a consideration that she could make in terms of the, if you remember Caribbean Storm Basin,
yes.
Basically, Caribbean Storm Basin was rated number 3 in the world by
That's
this
right.
magazine. And we did a lot in terms of, he took the use of the streets and have them recorded in a studio, and I'm thinking that she could have like there could be a public-private participation in the resuscitation of Caribbean Storm Basin would involve one, an injected risk capital from both private shareholders and the state, two, the formation of a board of directors where the financial interests of both parties share or holders, and the state will be proportionally represented, and three, in an agreement, and the duration of the deal participation can be indicated. So I'm saying that is an opportunity that they could look at, and in terms of the youth-based budget, that is something that she could look at. She could probably have a conversation with the functionaries of Caribbean Storm Basin, functionaries of the custody, and probably have a conversation with Robert Armour in terms of resuscitating Caribbean Storm Basin, in terms of her initiative with the youth-based budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Caller, you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yes, go ahead.
Good night. It's my first time tuning into this program, and I'm happy that you're on. I'm hearing good things so far. I don't know if I'm straying from the topic at hand because I just tuned in, but I wanted to find out who observes persons who are out on bail and committed crimes. Who is responsible for making sure that these people, if they have to go in and sign a book or whatever, because I know of people in my community who are out on bail doing all sorts of things, and they say that they have no court hearing and all of that. Who's responsible for these things?
Well, the police.
Hello?
Well, the police.
But they are not doing their
Yeah, that's if they're following up, and if it is that they're enforcing the process, and you're right about that. So again, that's another part of the system that we have to look at seriously.
Yeah, because that is why crime is out of hand, because the police are not acting. My friend told me she went to report her son, who is involved in all sorts of things, and when she went to find out how come he could be out and bail and doing these things, they have no record of him committing a crime, even though he was bailed out.
Wow.
There's nothing, no record of it in the police station. He said, so who them bail money went to? What happened? What is going on?
Oh, look at that. I'll see if I can get Mr. Sturge on the next program.
Okay, thank you so much and keep doing it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Well, that brings us to the end of our program, folks. Yeah, that brings us to the end of our program. Until next time, a lot is taking place. But again, I want to leave you again with something that we will be promoting a lot here on The Observer, and that is the question that has to be asked every day. Am I the citizen I need to be for the country that I want? We want good things. But when you go about, there's some basic things that seem to trigger a reaction that is somewhat negative. And I want you to understand something. It's not just what happens to you, but it's about your reaction. I mean, you're driving your taxi, you rather stop in the middle of the road because you're giving somebody change, or you want to have a long conversation, you don't care about the people behind you. That doesn't work. You go into a store, you go to buy something to eat, they're attending to a customer, but you feel as you're right because you just want something small. I don't want something like, and you push yourself. Come on, all of these little things. And sometimes we talk and we don't realize that there are youngsters looking on. Are you the citizen you need to be for the country that you want? Even when you travel and you return home, you say, look, I went so-and-so, and this was so organized. And if they set a bus schedule that the bus was coming at 3:15, you could look down the street at 3:12 and see the bus is going to arrive at 3:15. All of these things, you talk about efficiency, you talk about professionalism, but do you contribute it when you get here? When you're at your own home in Trinidad and Tobago? Do you give Trinidad your best? That's the thing you have to, you think that picking up a gun and invading somebody's space, kicking down the door, going through the burglar proof, is that giving Trinidad and Tobago your best? Are you the citizen you need to be for the country that you want? And if we understand that nobody can come with the race card, nobody can come to divide us, nobody can come to put us against each other, because we will understand that if we give Trinidad the best, then we will be giving the best of all of us. Are you the citizen you need to be for the country that you want? Think about it, let it marinate, and we'll talk more about it right here on The Observer. Have a good evening, stay blessed. Until next time, we continue observing and we continue with the action. Take care.
The Observer. We hope, I just want to scream.